Options to resolve your complaint. The agency offers 3 options to resolve your complaint, ranging from the informal methods of facilitation and mediation to the formal adjudication process. Now, I will provide a brief explanation of each of the 3 options for resolving your complaint. Option 1. Facilitation. Facilitation involves an agency employee offering their expertise by having discussions with you and the service provider separately to help define the issues involved, which may clear the way for a solution. This is the most informal and fastest of the 3 methods of resolving complaints. Once both parties agree to facilitation, the agency facilitator will begin discussions with each party, either by telephone or by email. The facilitator assigned to your file will provide you with information on the relevant legislation, regulations, and applicable guidelines, and may also refer to previous agency decisions which dealt with similar issues. With your consent, your application will be shared with the service provider to ensure that it is fully aware of the issues that you would like addressed. Almost any reasonable request can be put forward to the service provider in facilitation. However, should the case move to the formal process, the agency does not have the power to award compensation for pain, suffering, or loss of enjoyment. Addressing a complaint via facilitation may allow for an outcome that would not be possible through formal adjudication. The agency strives to resolve matters through facilitation within 30 calendar days. If your complaint is not successful in facilitation or only partially successful, you may choose to request mediation or formal adjudication. Option 2. Mediation. Mediation is also an informal process where an agency mediator is assigned to assist both you and the service provider in addressing all issues through negotiation. Similar to a facilitator, a mediator must ensure that impartiality is maintained through the discussions and must not provide strategic coaching to individual parties. A mediator will assist parties with prioritizing and addressing issues raised in an application and in reaching a settlement. However, mediators have no decision-making powers. Mediation is different from facilitation in that it involves direct interaction between the parties, either through a face-to-face meeting or by teleconference. This process gives you and the service provider an opportunity to express your views on the issue at hand, examine your concerns, explore some options, and develop your own solutions in a timely and cost-effective manner. Mediation is an informal alternative to the agency's formal decision-making process. However, it is still a structured process with requirements that both parties must follow. For instance, it must be completed within a 30-day statutory deadline after the dispute is referred for mediation, unless the parties to the dispute agree otherwise. To have your dispute settled through mediation, you must submit a complaint to the agency using our complaint wizard, available on the agency's website at www.otc-cta.gc.ca under the Complaints and Disputes tab, or by submitting an email to info@otc-cta.gc.ca. Cases referred to mediation are transferred outside of the Accessible Transportation Directorate and are handled by the Alternative Dispute Resolution Directorate. Once your application is received, one, or in some cases two, agency employees who are qualified mediators and experienced in the transportation industry and accessible transportation matters will be appointed to your case. The agency will then contact the service provider to determine whether it is willing to have the dispute resolved through mediation. The mediation process is confidential, and parties must agree in writing to maintain confidentiality, even if the mediation does not result in the resolution of all issues. For example, the mediator will not discuss any elements brought forth during the course of the mediation session with agency personnel, except for purposes related to agency mediator training. If no settlement, or only partial settlement, is reached, any remaining issues may be addressed by the agency through the formal adjudication process. Option 3. Formal adjudication. The formal adjudication process is a lot more structured. In this process, a panel of agency members are appointed to consider your application. Both you and the service provider are given an opportunity to present your cases to the panel. The agency's dispute adjudication rules set out the process that is followed during the adjudication. They also provide information on how to make a variety of procedural requests to the agency on matters that commonly arise in dispute proceedings, including requests to keep information confidential. An annotation provides explanation and clarification of the rules, which will be useful to those unfamiliar with the agency and its processes. It is organized by section number, and to make accessing the information easier, it also contains hyperlinks that allow easy navigation to related sections and further explanatory text that you will find useful. Once the panel has received both the service provider's answer to your application and your reply, it will determine if any additional information is required prior to making a decision. The agency members use the following 3 steps to resolve complaints through a formal process. Step 1. Establish that you are a person with a disability for the purposes of the Canada Transportation Act. Step 2. Establish that you have experienced an obstacle. You have to prove that you were denied equal access to services available because you were not provided with accommodation needed to address your disability-related needs. Step 3. Determine if the obstacle is undue, in other words, unjustified, and if corrective measures are needed to eliminate it. If the agency finds that an undue obstacle exists, it has the power to order the service provider to take corrective measures to address it. For example, the agency may require the transportation service providers to amend their tariffs, policies and procedures, develop or amend training programs, train personnel, purchase equipment, provide services, and communicate information. The agency may also direct that any expenses resulting from the undue obstacle be reimbursed. However, the the agency does not have the power to award compensation for pain, suffering, or loss of enjoyment. To make a decision, the panel members will look at all of the evidence, such as evidence from a qualified health professional or an opinion from an informed expert, and consider the legislation and any applicable regulations and legal principles. For less complex cases, the agency strives to issue its decision within 85 business days after the filing of a complete complaint. For more complex cases, additional time will be required, and in such instances, the agency's objective is to issue its decision within 65 business days after all the requested information is filed and the exchange of pleadings has ended. Once a decision is rendered, it's considered final and binding, similar to that of a court. However, should you disagree with a decision, you can apply to the Federal Court of Appeal within 30 days of the date the decision was issued and appeal the decision on a question of law or jurisdiction, or you can petition the Governor in Council to vary or rescind a decision made by the agency. Any documents filed with the agency as part of its formal adjudication process will be made part of the public record unless a claim for confidentiality has been made to and accepted by the agency. Therefore, before submitting your documents to the agency, you should remove any information that you do not want included on the public record. Decisions are posted on the agency's website and include the names of parties involved as well as the witnesses.
This is a very high-level overview of the steps required. More information can be found on the agency's website at www.otc-cta.gc.ca, or you may contact the agency with any questions you might have by email at info@otc-cta.gc.ca or by TTY at 800-669-5575.